Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was going.
All right, good morning and welcome. It is Tuesday, July the 21st. It is 9 a.m., which means it's time for our regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Council, do we have any additions to the agenda?
Chair, members of the board, there are no requested additions to your agenda.
Fantastic. Can you please read our closed session items into the record?
Yes, for closed session today is a standing conference with labor negotiators under Government Code Section 54957.6. Your agency designated representatives are Shanika Dixon and Sabrina Mendez to talk about all units that are represented by employee organizations and unrepresented employees, all classifications but not elected officials. There are two existing litigation matters under the Madera Superior Court. The case numbers are on the agenda, and those are both under Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D1. The name of the case in one is Cardozo with several other plaintiffs versus the Madera County Groundwater Sustainability Agency, and the other is Valley Groundwater Coalition versus the County of Madera. The last item is a conference with your legal counsel related to a decision whether to initiate litigation under Government Code 54956.9. There are two cases to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Do we have any public comment on our closed session items this morning, in the room or online?
Chair, we did receive a letter from Rafaela Reese, on 7/19. That will be added to the public record.
Thank you for that. At this time, we will retire into closed session.
Oh, my spring? Well, of course, yeah.
We are live.
Perfect.
But I like that.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Madera County Board of Supervisors meeting. It is 10 a.m., which means it's time for our regular session. Council, do we have any reportable action out of closed session?
Chair and members of the board, there are no reportable actions from your closed session. Thank you.
Thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to look to my colleagues for anybody they'd like to open and close the meeting in memory of.
Just give me just one moment here. Last week, we regrettably, or not, I guess it was last week, did not have all of the background information on Sergeant Mark Stritzel, so I wanted to start today with reading about retired Sergeant Mark Stritzel. So Sergeant Mark Stritzel, following the service in the United States military, Mark dedicated more than 33 years to the Madera County Sheriff's Office, serving his entire law enforcement career with our agency. He proudly served as a patrol deputy, detective, and sergeant throughout his distinguished career, was a member of MadNet, the SWAT team, the dive team, and served as range master. As a respected SWAT team leader, mentor, and friend, his leadership, knowledge, and commitment helped shape generations of deputies and left a lasting legacy within our agency. Sergeant Stritzel was our own personal Batman, known for his kindness, wisdom, and humility. He was deeply respected throughout our community and truly loved by everyone who had the privilege of knowing and serving alongside him. While his time in retirement was far too short, his impact on our agency and the community he served will endure for generations. Mark is survived by his loving wife, Lisa, and their children. We extend our deepest condolences to Lisa and their family and all who are mourning his loss. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. And that came from our sheriff, Tyson Pogue. So, being in the profession myself and 33 years in that job it's a long time. And when you retire and you think you're going to have all these plans, and just goes to show you never know when you're going to go. So just keep Mark's family in your thoughts and your prayers, and thank him for his 33 years of doing that job. It's not easy. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Supervisor. I want to take a quick moment for anybody that wanted to offer any words in regards to Sergeant Stritzel.
Yeah, I want to offer my respects and condolences to the family, and Mark was a tremendous asset to Madera County. We were so fortunate to have a man like him. The country is fortunate to have a man like him. He was unique in many respects. The man did not know the word fail. He would just put 100% into everything he did, and he was just a valuable person in many respects for the county and for his family and his friends. The people that spoke at the memorial on Friday, it was so poignant, the impact he had. There were people that I've known for years and years who I thought were hardcore stoic, and their hearts were broken. You could see the tears. I worked with Brad Dorr for a long time on marijuana eradication and in my district, and Brad was one of his closest friends, and when Brad spoke, you could tell it really affected him. It broke his heart that he lost his friend, and we lost a very good man in Mark Stritzel. And our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife and children. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. With that, I'd like to invite Pastor Sammy Neely with Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church to lead us in the invocation. And then I would ask our Director of Public Works, Jared Carter, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us bow our heads. Our Father, who truly art in heaven, Father, we come to you this moment. Father, we first offer prayers and condolences to the bereavement of our lost special soldier for this Madera County. Father, then we ask that you bless this meeting, Father, where we do it cordially, may we do it in unity, and Father, we do for the betterment for this valley, for this community, and for this county. Giving you praise, honor, and glory. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Please join me in this salute. Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of the republic for which it justice for all.
Thank you both for that. At this time, we'll look to the public for any public comment they may have. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Jared Carter, Director of Public Works. I just wanted to remind everybody that we do have a household hazardous waste event coming up this weekend in the mountain area, Yosemite High School, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we've done our best to clear 427 of the bridge work to make sure we can accommodate that. So just a reminder, that's free to residents of Madera County via our solid waste contracts that we have in place. Also want to do a quick update. If you have not seen the 41 Expressway website recently, we did post an update there. Work is progressing well. You're seeing a lot of dirt starting to get moved out there. We've kind of made it through the monitoring phase, our initial monitoring phase. I believe the last count I was given was around 2,500 burrows that were excavated throughout the project length. So a lot of monitoring and pre-work going into that to satisfy all the environmental requirements. And they did have to relocate, rescue 2 tiger salamanders out of the area. So glad we could save them.
Only $4 million to move them, I'm sure.
Yeah. So at any rate, yeah, progress is coming along out there, and definitely going to see some good dirt moving going on pretty quick here. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jared. Good morning. Welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. Yes, I'm a lifetime resident of Madera County. I've been assisting our local animals for the last 40 years through volunteering with the animal shelter, Friends of Madera Animal Shelter, and my own group of constituents in the animal rescue realm. I'm here to bring to your attention the severe animal crisis we are in. We have stray dogs, cats, and other animals. Part of this is because of the lack of spay and neuter affordable care for people who own their animals. Some is the lack of education, which I believe should start in the schools, regarding responsibility, not only towards our own personal animals, but the responsibility we have as constituents here in having responsibility for those who are out stray, starving, in traffic. So many have been killed. I call on a regular basis every week on an animal who has been hit and killed or mauled by another animal. We need further resources to be able to help defray some of this, the numbers of these animals who are suffering. Our county shelter is turning animals away currently. They take some in, but there's still many, many, many more that do not have the ability to be taken care of. Sometimes there are animals who are vicious, and those hopefully are being taken in. The city does not have resources for its residents to bring animals to the shelter. Those also are turned away, and I know that's a big part in the city issue. I've known that for years. But I'm one of the people who has been circulating the petition for a new animal shelter separate from our county shelter. It would also include an affordable spay and neuter clinic, which the residents and those of us who do advocate for the animals tremendously need. We need these resources. We cannot help the problem by ourselves. We need that support from the county. I urge you to please support this effort and also be aware of the needs that we have that are not being met by our current resources. So thank you very much for the time, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning.
Morning. Rebecca Martinez, Clerk Recorder Registrar. I think you have in your possession a packet that we prepared. The top one with the seal on it is a certificate of insufficiency. The following is the signature verification certificate and a printout of the numbers of signatures and things of that sort, statistical. Regarding the initiative measure for a sales tax increase for the construction of a new animal shelter. On Thursday, July 16, my office received 207 petition sections that contained approximately 4,653 signatures. What typically happens is once the petitions are received, the ROV has approximately 30 days by law to verify the signatures that are contained therein. At the time of receipt, we performed a random draw of 500 signatures to verify. That procedure is consistent with what we did for Measure T and is consistent with the manner in which state petitions are handled. Just a little bit of background. So as per the Election Code 9115, once the random draw of 500 signatures is verified, and if the petition meets the minimum 95% to 110% threshold, we would then go into a full check of the petition. If the petition verification does not meet the threshold, then the petition is found insufficient and no further action need be taken or may be taken. Just as an aside, had we done a full check initially, we would have taken the time permitted by law, which is 30 days. We have 30 days to verify the signatures, which would then have made the petition ineligible for the November election. To that end, the petition has been found insufficient at 94.2%, and no further action is needed to be taken by this board in this regard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update. Mr. CAO, we did just receive some public comment in regards to this topic, and I'm hopeful, recognizing that the community has made a great effort to collect signatures. There's obviously a huge will to improve services within the county, within the cities. I wonder if it might be fitting to reach out to the petitioner and inquire about meeting with them to discuss an opportunity in the future to perhaps work more closely and see if we can get this across the finish line next time.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to do that and happy to reach out to the proponents on this and schedule a meeting as soon as possible to sit down with them and see, again, like you put it, how to proceed and move forward. We have a lot of things that we're working on with our partners across the street to try and address this situation, primarily with the city of Madera right now on those things. And so certainly heed the recommendation and the request of the chair, and happy to do that.
Excellent, thank you. And thank you, Ms. Martinez, for the update. Unless there is any additional public comment, any online or in the room?
None online.
Okay. Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion unless we have an item removed for further discussion. Do we have any items we'd like to pull for further discussion today?
Yes, Chair, I'd like to pull 7E for just a broader context for Jared.
Excellent, thank you. Let's take a look at 7E.
So it's
Welcome back,
regarding the Madera Rancho's Dublin storage tank and booster pump project, but if you could talk about the work that was done on that and how that affects the system overall there.
Sure. Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Jared Carter, Director of Public Works. So yes, as you pointed out, Supervisor, this was a storage tank and booster pump project at the Dublin well site, which is really essentially kind of phase 2 of that site development. There was a well that was installed several years ago, and with the future storage tank to be added, and so this completes that work. What that does is that equips the MD-10A system with 1 million gallons of storage, water storage for both fire flow and also to help with higher demand times when they need additional water to put into the system. More recently, we had some issues with the Berkshire well that had to be taken offline, and that tank definitely came into play of being able to keep that water system in water, fully in water while we dealt with that issue. So it is a huge benefit to the system. And then along with, as you know, the Berkshire site that's being developed, that new well and that treatment system that will also bring Kensington well back onto line for that system. So we're making a lot of progress in that system overall. And this is definitely a good step in the right direction, and nice to see this get done. We had the state inspection come and take a look at it, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and was very pleased with the final product of the project.
Great, excellent. Thank you for that update. Now, you mentioned fire flows. How does the Dublin storage tank and booster pump help with fire flows? Because I know there are fire hydrants in the ranchos, and they might look more like the LA fire hydrants.
Yeah, so maybe without getting too technical into the details, essentially, there's a way to calculate your fire flow demand that you need to meet a certain threshold with the supply that you have on hand. And typically, if you don't have enough sources to feed that system at that level, you need to have a way to store up that water and have it available to use at a very quick pace or an on-demand situation when there might be a fire. So that's how that tank comes into play as far as serving the water system. Is essentially it's kind of a reserve to be able to tap into it when a fire happens and trucks are hooking up to those hydrants and pulling large amounts of water in a very quick amount of time to fight fires. So that's essentially how, in a nutshell, how that helps and works with the system.
Excellent. Well, it's big news. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for those questions. Unless there are any comments or questions in regards to the consent calendar, we're going to look to the public for any public comment they may have. Any in the room or online?
None online.
Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Move for approval?
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Poitras?
Aye.
Supervisor Rogers? Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Aye.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Chair McCulley?
Yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
thank you. Let's move to item 8A, please.
Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division, discussion and direction to staff to prepare amendments to the Madera County Code establishing a quarter overlay district within the quarter-specific sign regulations and designated communities and transportation corridors, and to return to the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors with a draft ordinance, proposed overlay maps, and implementation recommendations for consideration.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Jamie Bax, Development Services. A few months ago, we had an item before the Planning Commission that did involve a sign, and it resulted in a discussion with the Planning Commission, giving us direction to look at a more robust sign program. We do have one in place for the Oakhurst community, which we rely on, and it has been working great. So our intent is to look at these, especially commercial corridors in Avenue 12, Madera Ranchos, Rolling Hills, up the 41, and make it a more robust program, not just signage, but development standards as well. Staff has been striving to work really hard with contractors as we receive commercial permit applications, just to ensure that we have nice-looking buildings, but there's almost so much we can do based on our current zoning ordinance. So the intent would be to look at these different corridors to make sure that we have these development standards in place. Our intent is to also work with those communities and the business owners to get their input through this process. Planning staff, my Deputy Director, Brian Guerrero, is here as well. We'd be reaching out to those communities along with your offices to make sure that we get the input that we need moving forward through this. I would kind of consider it similar to going through the Oakhurst mobility study process that we recently did. We had a lot of outreach, so our goal is to do the same for this, identify those corridors, and then move through the process. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding this item.
Thank you, Jamie. Any questions from my colleagues on the board in regards to this item?
I don't have any questions necessarily, Chair. Oh, sorry, spoke out of turn there.
Beauty before age, I suppose.
What's that?
I said beauty before age, I suppose.
Then go ahead.
Wait a minute.
Don't think about it too much. Yeah, so especially Avenue 12 and Rolling Hills, I know we've talked about architectural standards. Is that going to be included in this as well, along with the signs?
Yes, it would, absolutely, because like I mentioned, as we receive building permit applications, there's only so much we can review. It's basically just standards. They're meaning building code and setbacks, but we'd like to have that more robust program in place. And
another thing is dilapidated signs. Is there any way with the ordinance to be retroactive? Which I'm sure there's a way to. I mean, there's a lot of like abandoned signs where they have the posts up and the frame, but no sign. It's been that way for 10 years. It looks like junk. That we can, tell those property owners to abate their stuff. So anyway, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, with the Oakhurst sign plan, we had that in place. And I remember when I was hired back in 2007, doing a field trip with the fellow planners, including Matt Treber, where he had to go and knock and talk with all of the businesses in Oakhurst and basically tell them to tear down all of their signs. They had a few years in order to meet those requirements. But yes, that's definitely a process we can go through.
And I don't want to be too restrictive. I don't want to be, the agency where someone applies for a building a building permit or a business license, and then they're burdened with all these things. I just want it to be reasonable, and I think after we do this community outreach, which I hope there's a lot, but we'll get all that stuff ironed out.
Absolutely.
Awesome, thank you.
Supervisor Poitras?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, I was looking at this, and there's just a lot of things that I started thinking about in regards to the city of Madera's sign ordinance that I think we kicked in like 16, 18 years ago. And as you can imagine, there was a lot of pushback and a lot of concern. And, a lot of violations, and in some cases, things were pretty ticky-tack in terms of, people required to get CUPs and so forth for signs. So I guess my first question is, what it says, updating our sign ordinance. What does our sign ordinance look like now, and are we actually enforcing it?
Our current sign requirements lie within the zoning ordinance. So it's a separate section within the zoning ordinance. It's pretty limited to height and size and location on the properties. And yes, we are enforcing it. The only area that requires a special sign permit is the Oakhurst area. Apart from that, people come in, they apply for a building permit, planning staff then reviews that section of the zoning ordinance, to make sure that they meet all of those criteria. So yes, to answer your question.
And then there's, on the third page of the report, it talks about some of the things that we would be looking at, potential ordinance provisions may address existing non-conforming signs. So, so that would tell me that there are non-conforming signs now, and what are we doing about it, or can we do something about it?
Currently, what we're doing about it is similar to how we handle most code cases. We base it on a complaint and then notify the property owner that they may or may not be in violation of the county code. We can, take that similar action, or if you'd like, put some type of timeline in place to where they have a certain timeline to meet those criteria. But currently, we do notify them if we receive a complaint by way of a citation notice.
Okay. I was just curious because it talks about non-conforming now, and so, are we going to kind of ramp things up in terms of penalties and things of that sort for them to come in compliance? So, it's interesting, just even over the last couple of years, I know when Camarina was putting in their facility over here on Almond, the city was really going after them because they considered their sign to be out of compliance. And it was actually a sign that was somewhat hidden from the road. And so it made zero sense, for the, city to be coming down on, because it's hidden, In fact, I'm not even sure why Camarina put up a sign there, but, that was their deal. And then, recently, Evapco, they ran into a few issues on the sign ordinance that were resolved with the city, but they were putting up a flagpole and some other things that were well off the road. So, yeah, I just don't want to be that, as my colleague here mentioned, I just don't want to be that government agency that is ticky-tack and not working with owners, and because I know along the 41 corridor especially, there's a lot of people that, really value their property rights and things of that sort. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. It's going to be fun.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments.
I would agree, Rob, it can be a painful process, Supervisor, but, I think at the end of the day, it's worthwhile when I drive through Oakhurst. It's hard to think about the absence of something, right? But if you go through and you imagine these, 100-foot signs for, the drive-throughs and the grocery stores and the gas stations, and you imagine everybody with those dumb flag signs that, advertise their new business and all that kind of stuff, the corridor going through Oakhurst would just look terrible. There would just be signs everywhere. So, I mean, it is kind of a necessary evil to a degree, but I think success lies in staff being very flexible and working with property owners on that, as you suggested. And just to provide you with some confidence, not that you need it, but staff does a very good job working with folks in Oakhurst around those specific issues. So hats off to staff, agree with your concerns. I think it'll be a good thing for the county. Jamie, at the end of the day, is this going to culminate in updates to area plans as well? Is that where this will eventually lie, or how does that?
Usually development standards lie within the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
That's where you can really enforce. The area plans are more of a, similar to the general plan, more of a 25 years into the future, this is what we foresee. The zoning ordinance is our county code or our laws that we can enforce on. So that is our intent would be to include it in that section.
Okay, excellent. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah.
Yes, Supervisor?
We have a lot of what I call visual noise in our commercial corridors, our corridors in general. Even on 99, you have a lot of signs that are, for lack of a better term, handwritten. And we might start with that, send code enforcement out, go down those corridors and have those signs removed, because those are, if they're going to do something, it needs to look right, and it's functionally obsolescent as well as visually noisy. And when you have a lot of banners and like Robert mentioned, the flags and all of those things, that visual noise just it really distracts from the beauty of the area. And so I agree to an extent that we need to be careful how we do this, but there's some obvious offenders in this thing, and maybe go after them first before we, create a general rule. But I like the idea of having uniformity and less visual noise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless there's any additional comments from the board, I'm going to look to the public for any public comment they may have.
None online.
Excellent. So I believe you're looking for direction, correct? Yeah.
Correct, yes,
Okay.
please, Mr.
Do
Chairman.
you have all the direction you need at this time?
Yep.
Excellent.
Ready
Thank
to
you so
go.
much.
Thank you.
It is 10:30, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our GSA items, and we're going to start with item 9A.
Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department, discussion and direction to use the existing cost-sharing memorandum of understanding in the Chowchilla Subbasin to pay for subsidence monitoring in an amount not to exceed $21,216.67 to be split equally by the 4 groundwater sustainability agencies in the Chowchilla Subbasin.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Stephanie Agneson, your Director of Water and Natural Resources. These 3 items went to the GSA committee last week, and I'll just give you a short summary. So for this item, the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation was collecting subsidence data along the river. They are no longer collecting that data. We've asked DWR to assume responsibility, but they have not wanted to collect that data. And this data set is our primary source for subsidence data. So we need the data to collect, the data collection to continue. So we have a proposal. It's from Provost and Pritchard. And we have a mechanism for entering into the contract. It's with Chowchilla Water District being the one who does the contracting in the Chowchilla Subbasin. We also have an existing cost share memorandum. So we really have the tools that we need to get this data. The data is also used by 6 subbasins, and so we're sharing costs. Our costs for one data measurement, multiple stations, but one time would be about $20,000 divided by 4 parties in the Chowchilla Subbasin. And this item went to the Chowchilla GSP Advisory Committee as well. Happy to take any questions on it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions, comments from my colleagues? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Stephanie, I was just, in the report, it mentioned that the Department of Interior was going to cease providing this data because of budget cuts or something. Was there any pushback on the Department of Interior that we know of, contacting any electeds or anything like that to see if that funding could be reestablished?
No, it's not, to my knowledge, been that. Happy to pursue that. We've worked at a staff level and been told that funding was no longer available for this purpose.
Yes, sometimes, for instance, through RCRC and other organizations, they work really closely with the Department of Interior and have developed, different relationships. And I know when I was back there a little over a year ago, and we met with the Department of Interior. So anyway, it's one of those rural county issues that if you would like to maybe look at that being reestablished, feel free to contact me, and I can get you in contact with somebody from RCRC to maybe look at that. Otherwise, if this is a better well, it's going to cost us money rather than the federal government. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's always good to, push back, on the federal government in different cases like this.
Happy to work with you on that. Yes, I
Thank
like
you.
that idea. There is an advantage of us collecting it, which is that then we know it's done. It was done fairly irregularly.
Gotcha. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for that information, Stephanie, and thank you for the question, Supervisor. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll look to the public.
None online.
Perfect. We'll bring back to the board for action.
There's no action
Oh.
required.
Excuse me. Thank you. Let's go to item 9B.
Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department. Discussion and consideration of approval of transfer of appropriations number 25-138 in the amount of $2,044,703 to transfer from the Groundwater Sustainability Agency fee revenue dash appropriations for contingencies to the operations transfers out dash general fund for fiscal year 2025, 2026. 4 votes are required.
Stephanie Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. This was also shared out at the GSA committee. Typically, TOAs, as you know, are done on consent, but for full transparency with the GSA, we can walk you through this. The GSA budget does use general fund at the beginning of the year, which it repays at the end of the year. And so this is that repayment from essentially front loading with general fund so that we are neutral to the general fund. And it is about $2 million that is being transferred over. It may be that not all of it needs to be repaid. We do a really careful check looking at expenses through the end of June, which is underway right now. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll look to the public.
None online.
Seeing no public comment, we'll bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Supervisor Wamhaugh?
Aye.
Supervisor Poitras?
Aye.
Chair McCulley?
Yes.
And forgive me, those should have all been directors, not supervisors.
Let's go to item 9C, please.
Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department, special assessment and notice of levy for special assessment on groundwater over usage. Penalties for Chowchilla and Madera. Number 1, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution declaring special assessments and notice of levy of special assessments in Madera County's Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Madera Subbasin, and then as well as number 2's Chowchilla Subbasin against the real properties owned by responsible parties subject to unpaid and past due penalties imposed for excessive groundwater extraction pursuant to California Water Code Section 10732. This item is not a project within the California Environmental Qualities Act pursuant to Sections 15378B4 and 15378B5 of the California CEQA guidelines because of the confirmation of penalties and the direction that corresponding special assessments to be entered into the tax roll for collection constitutes governmental fiscal activities that do not involve any commitment to any specific project that may result in a potentially significant physical impact to the environment and are administrative activities of government that will not result in direct or indirect physical changes of the environment.
Thank you. Stephanie.
Stephanie Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. This item also went to the GSA committee. So it's doing 2 separate things. In calendar year 2024, we still have an unpaid amount of $4,800. That is 5 APNs or 2 farms, and that's in penalties. So this will place a notice of levy of special assessment on those properties so that they can't be sold without that payment being made to the GSA. There's also 2025 penalties with a total of $649,000. That's from 65 APNs or 28 different farm units, and that's the Madera Subbasin number. and then $242,000 in penalties for the Chowchilla Basin. That's 15 APNs or 7 farms. The combined total is almost $900,000. These are all penalties that haven't been paid directly, and there were many opportunities to do that. When this was discussed with the GSA committee, there were a couple questions related to kind of repeat offenders or people who were in a penalty group year to year, so we have some data on that. There's 17 farms that were, or farm units that were in penalty all 3 years, 23, 24, and 25. Just for some context, 17 farm units out of 360 total, so you can kind of do the math there. It's about 5% are repeat offenders, which doesn't seem bad to me. We obviously don't want anyone in penalties, but you don't have a large number that are repeatedly in penalty tier. And then in terms of penalties in just 24 and 25, we're at 22 farm units, including the original 17. So happy to take any questions that you have about this, but we have given these folks multiple opportunities to pay. They get a monthly report emailed to them. They also get a monthly report mailed to them. At the end of the year, if it looks like they're going to be in a penalty, we do a call and an email just so they can prepare. We know that the end of the year is sometimes when people are closing out finances, so if you need to hold some money over to pay a penalty, we want to let you know. Then we are issuing the penalty itself. They have 45 days to pay the penalty, and they get reminders of that, and we will mail it repeatedly if we haven't. So they have a lot of chance to pay with direct pay. This is what we have to do if they don't pay with direct pay.
Okay. Thank you for the update, and I appreciate you bringing the additional information around some of the data and backup. So thank you for that. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Stephanie, I just had a question in regards to, and I'm going to use one as an example. There's a farm here that owes almost $160,000 and on one parcel, and so I'm guessing that's from a few years of not paying and penalties arising, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say they continue to, you know, they continue to get like something like $50,000 to $60,000 a year in penalties on that one parcel, and these guys go up to $300,000, $350,000, and then they decide they're just going to walk away. I don't know if they have a loan on this or not, but we actually then are ahead of the farm, again, ahead of the lender, I believe. Any taxes, levies, liens are ahead of the bank. But essentially, then let's say they walk away, it's sold in foreclosure deal, and let's say they get $250,000, $200,000 for their property. So we basically, or that's how we get our money back, because we have no other way to go after this particular individual for non-payment. Is that correct?
A couple subtle things there. The list of 2025 penalties is just 2025 penalties. So that's a big penalty, and it's for 1 year.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, they must have their pumps going all year.
I think that might be the highest in penalties. And so we are paid if they sell the property, but this penalty puts it on their property tax bill, which they can only pay as a whole. So it's not ideal because it's more time consuming in this process, but you also have to put things with this notice of the levy on the title. Otherwise, it could be sold and the penalty would be lost.
Right. But I mean, there's the potential for down the road for us to really never see any money out of it, or maybe a fraction of the money if the value of the land goes down low enough and they walk away. And I mean, you know, let's say this is a half section, 320 acres, and they have some gigantic loan, and you know, they move up to 450,000 in penalties or something, but because there's no water available to farm the land in a sale, it's not going to fetch much money. So I mean, there's the potential to not really get much money back, but if anybody's going to get money, we'll get money, or taxes, or, you know, whoever the county, in this case, Madera County, taxes and so forth. But there's no other remedy at this point.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say I'd appreciate you flagging that issue, Supervisor, just kind of forward thinking there, the penalties exceeding the value of the land, and then county's now
Right.
in a difficult spot. So I appreciate you looking forward and thinking that through. So
There's
maybe we'll have to
potential.
take some time to sit down with the tax collector and talk about possible remedies to ensure the county stays whole.
But I guess the good news is it's 5%, not,
It really, most people are within their allocations and paying a penalty directly. This is a small amount.
all right, very good, thank you.
Any additional comments, questions, Supervisor?
Yes, in terms of water, to cut through the weeds a little bit, in terms of water, what is this one farm we're talking about here?
So take the dollar amount, divide by 300, and you should have acre feet.
So we're
'Cause
talking
it's
about a
last
lot of
year's
water.
penalties.
A lot of acre foot of water then.
It is a well-watered farm, sir.
That's a 100 acre feet for 300,000, right?
I think someone is doing the math right now. Or not?
I don't know what the penalty was. It was, so it'd be half of that, 50 acre feet?
What's
What's the
math
penalty
problem?
per acre? Is it it's 300, right?
300 would reflect the 2025.
Oops, hit it one too many times. Divided by
If
three.
we had someone who taught math, if they
If
could
only
come up
that
to the
person were
microphone.
here.
533 acres,
Thank you.
yeah.
Don't go there.
533 acre feet?
Yeah, and that must have,
Like 2
or
years.
533 acres is what they're farming, and that's their parcel size.
Wow,
Yeah, and I mean, that's what they overpumped,
good grief.
yeah.
Yes.
So this is very blatant then. This is like a thumb in the eye. Honestly, that's just disgusting. What is that, what is their, obviously you've communicated with them. What are their, what's their reasoning? What's their excuses?
We hear a variety, and I don't remember on this parcel in particular. There's people who still say they're unaware, which is why I walked you through. They're getting monthly reports
Unaware?
from us. They're getting monthly emails from us. They have a water resource specialist assigned to them to help them understand this. So there's the unaware. There's also folks that has a business strategy have chosen to do this, and it's a small number, but there are people who have shared that that is their business strategy, and that the challenge there is your penalty next year is going to be at the peak that's available under the water code. So that's a flaw with the law itself, that they set a number, which of course is a little odd given
Yeah, that's a state law, right?
it is.
Yeah. The, might have to do some thinking on how we can discourage this, because that's just blatant. That hurts everybody.
It does, and the committee itself has considered a couple of options. One was taking away the allocation the next year in the amount that was overpumped. But obviously, you send someone into a bit of a spiral, right? There's no recovering after that point.
Well, I mean, they're obviously already in a situation. Otherwise, they wouldn't be blatantly defying the law. I would say that if it reaches a certain point, take away the allocation. I wouldn't do that for everybody, because we've got to have room for people to make mistakes, room for people to have issues and problems. But when it's blatant like this, I would say to establish a certain amount and say, okay, you've obviously, you're not concerned about this, so we have to get concerned, and take away the next year's allocation as a result of that. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Excellent. Thank you for the comments. Any additional comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, we'll look to the public for any public comment they may have.
None online.
Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Gonzalez.
Yes.
Director Wamhoff.
Aye.
Director Rogers.
Yes.
Director Poitras.
Aye.
Chair McCauley.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. Let's go back to item 8B now.
County Administration Department discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution to transition the Madera County grand jury term from fiscal year to calendar year effective January 1st, 2027 pursuant to Penal Code 905.5B.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Regina Garza, thank you for colleagues for putting this on the agenda under county administration, but it's your county council here. To let you know that last month I received a letter from the court regarding the Madera County Civil Grand Jury. The court is tasked with impaneling 19 Madera County residents to make up this grand jury. It has been increasingly difficult for the court to locate willing and qualified candidates to serve on this grand jury, and as such, the court has requested that the Board of Supervisors consider the resolutions that is included in your agenda packet. The resolution would convert the grand jury's term from a fiscal to a calendar year. This would mean that no grand jury is in session as of July 1st of this year through the end of this calendar year, so December 31st, 2026. That doesn't give the court much time, so if you approve this resolution, it wouldn't be long until we know whether they have been successful in being able to seat a grand jury in 2027. In the meantime, the social media efforts by your board and in the lobby, there's a display window dedicated to recruitment of members. I know has been expressed by the court as being grateful for those efforts. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding this item.
Thank you. Any comments or questions in regards to this item?
I don't have a question, but as someone's walking in, if we only had someone that was savvy with media, that could maybe do a post or something like that, that'd be great.
Sounds good. I see the CAO nodding that additional efforts by our Director of Communications, I know I'm going to botch.
Oh, we do. He
may
is here.
help
That's-
increase those efforts for recruitment.
Thank you for those
Grand jury
suggestions.
recruitment.
Any other comments or questions from my colleagues? I will just comment really quickly. Volunteerism, I think, throughout the country is down. I think we see that, and we're no exception here in Madera County. While we are exceptional, we are, having issues with volunteerism as well. And so I do wonder if, despite increased marketing efforts to see if we can get people to sign up for this, that we may still face challenges when we come back around in January. And I just wonder if we might shift our focus here if we're still unable to recruit. We've talked a lot through our public information team about doing more civic engagement, working with community to help them understand more from an educational perspective what it is we do here at the county. I know the DA did her own little course class kind of thing through her office fairly recently and graduated a couple citizens from that academy. And so I think it might be interesting to see if the public information team would like to take a look at that. And, if we're not able to move forward with a grand jury, perhaps there's another form of civic engagement we could explore. So just my comments. So unless there are any additional comments from my colleagues, we'll look to the public for any public comment they may have.
None online.
Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Wamhoff.
Aye.
Supervisor Poitras.
Aye.
Supervisor Rogers. Supervisor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Chair McCauley.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board, I'll report back to the court and keep you posted on the updates and work with administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. That is the conclusion of our agenda, so we're going to go ahead and look to supervisor and staff reports. We'll start with Supervisor Rogers.
Excuse me, sorry. I attended the Regional Health Authority. That's it. Thank you.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Nothing to report, but I do have an announcement. There's quite a few backpack giveaways scheduled this week. I see the Department of Public Health is in, so thank you for donating those toothbrushes that we'll be handing out at one of the events. And I understand probation and the DA's office is doing theirs as well. So we'll post those on our social media. I think it's good information for the public to know. Thank you.
Excellent. Supervisor Wolof.
Yes, I attended NACO in New Orleans, National Association of Counties Conference. It was really great. It was basically an AI conference. Everything was, well, about this department and how AI affects it, and this department and how AI affects that. It was, I'm not kidding, every single session was around how AI is changing it and considerations when using AI. It was basically an AI conference is what it was. But actually, pretty good insight. Yeah, that's what I did. Thanks.
Perfect. Supervisor Porthos.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Karen.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Council.
No report, Chair.
Mr. CAO.
Nothing to report, sir.
Oh, okay. I wanted to report out that I was able to attend the city's groundbreaking ceremony for Yosemite Avenue 145 through the city, their road diet project. A lot of work has gone into this, so I'm excited for our city partners to move forward with this. Hopefully it results in some tangible benefits to the community and more people visiting the downtown area. It would be great to see some life there as we drive through town. Also, I want to let the public know that, as well as the board, that we did meet last week in regards to our workshop for the county, and it too will be AI focused. So it's happy to see IT, the assessor's office, the sheriff, and the CAO all providing some input on how we can make that workshop hum. And want to give a special thanks to Melissa and Yvette for laying some of the groundwork around that conference, or that workshop, excuse me. So that is all I have. And so this meeting.
It's our sheriff's birthday.
Is it the sheriff's birthday?
Yeah.
Should we sing to him?
No, but we can wish him a happy birthday.
Okay, well, we'll just wish the sheriff a happy birthday from afar. So happy birthday, Sheriff Pogue. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.